Hello, everybody, and good afternoon. Welcome to this Monday live edition of Dodgers Territory. I'm Alanna Rizzo. That is Clint Pasillas. I'm so happy to be back with you guys. Clint holding down the fort last week with a couple great guests. We appreciate it, obviously. I am back from vacation, but before we get into the show today, by the way, we are welcoming two-time World Series champion manager Dave Roberts to the show coming up. He was on episode 30. How apropos he's coming back here today on January 13th. But before we get into that, let's talk about what really matters. Our hearts and our thoughts and our prayers, and hopefully a lot more than those things, are going out to everybody impacted negatively by the unbelievable wildfires in Los Angeles and the surrounding areas. Obviously, Clint, it puts things into perspective. We're going to talk about how our community can give back. But in addition to the thoughts and the prayers, I am so incredibly proud of the Los Angeles community, the way that they have shown up and shown out to give back to their loved ones and their friends and their neighbors.
Yeah, it's been really moving to see people come together during this devastating time. Thankfully, I am far enough away from the fires. I'm still close enough to see things, have to deal with the least of it, which is just air quality, but people losing so much, losing their livelihoods, losing their homes, pets, of course, getting lost somewhere in the mix. It's been absolutely devastating, but the community is pulling together, and we got to keep pulling together because we're not out of the thick of it yet here.
Yeah, I'm so proud of Los Angeles. You can just see all of the different images and videos and photos that people are posting about how people are coming together, and that's what it's about. I know Los Angeles has a reputation, but unless you've been there, unless you're from there, unless you've spent a lot of time there, it's such a wonderful place, and they will rebuild, and we're going to give you some information on how you can give back coming up on the show. And again, Dave Roberts is coming up too, so please rate us 5 stars, like, subscribe, get your questions into the chat for Doc. Kind enough to spend about 10-15 minutes with us here today. Let's get to the big ticket before we welcome in Dave. Clint.
Let's do it.
All right, Roki Sasaki, it's all the rage, right? Apparently, though, he's narrowing it down, Clint Pasillas. So you're saying there's a chance, because according to Jack Curry of Yes, he is out on the Yankees. According to Susan Slusser, he is not going to the San Francisco Giants. And apparently, it doesn't look like he's going what else am I missing? He's not going to the Giants. The Giants, the Yankees, and the Mets are apparently out on Sasaki.
Reportedly out. Ben Badler also said on Foul Territory just a few minutes ago that Dodgers remain likely. He's also, Sasaki and his agent have met with I think the Blue Jays a second time, met with the Padres a second time. We're still hoping that the Dodgers are right there at the top of the list when it comes to landing Roki Sasaki, but the 15th is but 2 mere days away, which is the opening of the new international bonus pool, the signing period, and all that. The expectations are that he could have his team chosen by the end of the week, and signs again still continue to point very, very strongly towards the Dodgers. How are you feeling about it?
I would love it. I mean, we've said this all along. He's going to come at a very appropriate price tag, but I think for the long term, Roki Sasaki would be a great addition, which also brings up a question I wanted to ask you too. Both Ken Rosenthal, Clint, and Will Salmon saying that, Jack Flaherty, who's still out there, obviously seems to be willing to take a shorter term deal. I mean, is that something that, let's say Sasaki's not a Dodger, is that something that you are willing to entertain, considering that we could use some front end starter help, at least certainly for the first half of the season, while we wait for Ohtani to come back and for May and Gonsolin to ramp up, Kershaw to get healthy, those types of things.
Yeah, I mean, at the start of this, if you'd asked me this question 2 weeks ago, I would have said no. I would have said I think the time for somebody like Jack Flaherty had passed. But then you start learning, hey, Shohei Ohtani's not going to be available for probably the first month or two of the season. You don't know when Clayton Kershaw's services are going to be ready to go, when they're even going to sign him. You don't know what you have in Tony Gonsolin, who hasn't thrown a major league pitch in a year and a half. Same with Dustin May. He hasn't been on the mound for a while. You're getting some other dudes back from injury. There's just a lot of, I would say, concern out there. I love this starting rotation when it comes to getting into October. But you need to survive 162 games. So Jack Flaherty says he's willing to take a shorter term deal, for high dollars, and he's willing to be not even second fiddle, maybe fifth fiddle for the Los Angeles Dodgers. I'm okay with it. But the question is he okay with it? Is his agent okay with it? And that's where I feel like maybe the connection won't be there.
Okay, let me ask you this, and this is a question that Philip Fountain is bringing up too. If they get Sasaki, let's just say the Dodgers end up spending whatever it is that we have left, the $5 million on the international pool. Let's say they get Sasaki if he wants to be a Dodger. And again, it seems like he's narrowing teams down, right? Do you think it makes sense to go for Flaherty as well? I mean, I know we're running out of spots. It's only a 26-man roster. I mean, I'd love to have a 30-guy rotation, but we can't. So Does that make sense to get both of them? If you can find a deal?
Both, I mean, if you can find a deal and people are willing to take kind of reduced roles, sure. But at the end of the day, at the end of the season, when you get into October, they want it to be Shohei, Yamamoto, Glasnow, Snell. Those are their four guys. So at some point, you are going to run thin on available innings to starting pitching. And I don't know where, you can't put so many people in the bullpen because you're already going to have pieces there. And this was my kind of concern I had a couple of months ago, particularly with like Walker Buehler, like where Walker Buehler would suddenly right now to my brain sound perfect, but that's not on the table anymore. So you just need somebody. I keep mentioning it. You need that James Paxton type of person, the Ryan Yarbrough, somebody that's going to fill some big innings in the first half of the season. And I don't know that Jack Flaherty is going to want to do that, knowing that the second half of the season could be sort of in flux. I mean, if I was a big time, free agent and trying to get a big dollar deal, I would certainly consider that, because we just saw the Dodgers do that last year with James Paxton, where they dumped him, gave him a better opportunity, we'll say, at the trade deadline.
And I think a lot depends too on what they want to do, what the role likely is going to be for May and Gonsolin. You know what I mean? We keep clamoring to say, hey, let's put Dustin May with all that fire and the craziness into the bullpen. And what does that mean for, are they going to be? They're not going to be built up to be starters right away, obviously, with the lack of throwing and stuff that they've done and the injuries and those types of things. But I mean, this is a question that we're going to ask, and we're going to talk to Dave about it when he comes on the show here momentarily. I mean, the whole 6-man rotation is in play, and what do? You can't replace a Walker Buehler necessarily, but how do they imagine? And it's funny too that we talk about these things and they just won a World Series. It's like we don't. How do you improve on perfection? And that's what it was as far as Dave is concerned, and the World Series champion Los Angeles Dodgers. It's a good problem to have.
Yeah, we can sit here and argue, and I'll ask you the question as well. I think we can sit here and argue that the team right now is better than the team that just won a World Series. And yeah, it's kind of lazy to say it because that team had a billion injuries, and right now, on paper, we assume people are healthy. But I'm curious, do you think that right now, following, the trade of Gavin Lux, who that happened while you were out on vacation, hopefully you enjoyed your time away, but now there's a little bit of question mark in the infield, starting pitching, which has been a long-held concern of yours, at the start of last season. Would you say now, just throwing the blanket statement out, that they are better now than they were, just 3-4 months ago?
I definitely like this team going into 2025 more than I liked the 2024 team. I think we're more stacked going into 2025 than we were going into 2024. My 2024, to me, the challenge was we didn't have enough starting pitching. And I think I was right. But the thing that I wasn't right about is that they figured out a way every single step of the way to make it work. I think, again, this is Dave's best managerial job of his career, of his tenure. And I've known him a really, really long time. I mean, the amount of injuries that they had, and I know nobody cares, everyone, Dodgers, nobody cares. It's like either you love us or you hate us, and that's fine too. But we had a lot of injuries to massively, massively huge pieces, and they found out a way. I feel very confident. If the opening day was tomorrow, I feel pretty good about this team, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, the addition of Blake Snell, that's to me the biggest game changer there, because you're adding Snell. You assume Glasnow is healthy because that's what the team has told us. That's what Glasnow has told us. Yamamoto, the same. If he was healthy enough to be throwing to end the season, he should be ready to go for opening day. Tony Gonsolin is somebody where if they were in dire need, they could have thrown him into, at least the pitching staff for October. Dustin May should have finally had a fully normal, healthy, off season to kind of get him back, get himself mentally reset, actually take the break from the ramp up. And then there's still the Landon Knacks of the world in there. Emmett Sheehan returns from injury. There's a lot of pieces. If we're just specifically focusing on, starting pitching here, I still like the back end of the bullpen. You still like a lot of those pieces in the mix there. Adding Hae-Sung Kim to the mix in the middle infield, Mookie Betts is going to be your shortstop, so there's a lot. Teoscar Hernandez back. There's a lot of things to really, really, really like about this team. But if you're being nitpicky, if you're trying to find any potential concerns or fears, it's just, for me, bridging the 162 game gap until October without, severely overworking guys like Yamamoto, Glasnow to where they could potentially be unavailable to October. So that's where you need.
But isn't that always the fear, though? Isn't that always the concern going into
Baseball's
a season?
a bitch.
I mean, that's baseball, right? It's a pain. Yeah. It's like, that's just how it goes, where on paper we look amazing, but like every team, who knows who comes out of spring training hobbling, there's so much to happen. I mean, spring training's a month away. I mean, it's January 13th. I mean, these guys are reporting in a month. So we are on the precipice of a brand new season here, but like, you're only going on based on the information you have right now. I mean, if everybody's healthy, barring craziness, I love this team. But yeah, I mean, a lot can change, but I think they've done a tremendous job in the offseason. They have some huge pieces coming back. And health is always the biggest question mark, right? Health and injury. That's always the biggest question mark. I don't care if you're the Los Angeles Dodgers or you're the friggin' Colorado Rockies or whoever, is at the bottom of the totem pole. I mean, whoever you are, like, you hope to stay healthy to be able to compete.
Yeah, and there's going to be a lot more competition in the National League West this year. We know all these teams have made some big moves. The Giants adding Willy Adames, the Diamondbacks adding Corbin Burns, Padres remaining pretty decent, a team that challenged the Dodgers pretty firmly last year. None of these teams are going to give the Dodgers an easy walk to October or anything like that. Again, once we get to October, it's just a different ball game, but it's about getting there. That's what it's about. So Flaherty is willing.
I actually love the way that the NL West is shaped up in this offseason. I love the competition. I still think, obviously, the Dodgers are the cream of the crop, but I love the fact that there's some really good competition. Arguably one of the toughest divisions in all of baseball. Doesn't really matter what I think. Doesn't really matter what Clint thinks. What really matters is what the two-time World Series manager, four-time National League pennant winner Dave Roberts thinks about his team going into the 2025 season. We are so thankful that Dave's going to take a few minutes out of his day to be with us. Dave, we appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. First of all, Happy New Year. I know it's January 13th, but before we get into the baseball stuff, I just wanted you to say a couple words about, the devastation and what's going on in the beautiful state of California and how we can help.
Well, first off, Happy New Year to both of you guys. And it started off fine until this devastating tragedy has happened in Los Angeles and greater Los Angeles. And I think for me, and the Dodge organization, I think you guys are in the same boat. Is first and foremost our thoughts and prayers, and we've all lost or had friends of ours that were close to us that either lost homes or were evacuated. And I don't know how we're going to, recover and get past this, but we're sort of just waiting to kind of figure out where we go and how we can most impact the city of Los Angeles and the families. I know Freddie, Chris Taylor have already initiated some donations, which is fantastic. There's a lot more to become from the Dodgers, the entire organization as a whole, and players. and staff collectively. But as we look at these images, guys, it is just devastating. And it's about trying to recover and not trying to place blame and figure out a solution. But clearly, I'm very emotional and carefully choosing my words because it's such a tragedy right now that's going on and still going on.
Yeah, I was about to say that. Well, one, Dave, again, thanks for joining us. And two, this is still, the door is not closed on what's going on out here in Southern California. Thank God for our great first responders, the amazing things they're able to do, other corporations and places stepping up to help support first responders as best they can. And again, like somebody you mentioned, the Freeman's doing what they're doing, Chris Taylor and his foundation and what they're doing. Could you speak to just kind of the players, like what your players, these dudes who mean so much to you as a person, how heartwarming is it to see them step up in such a big way?
It's huge. It's very important. It's necessary. I think the thing about our guys, and I think we will see this throughout baseball and other industries, that people just want to help out, want to step up. And we have all been blessed in a lot of different ways. And it's all of our times to step up in any way we can, right? Whether it's financially, it's our time, any type of resources. But for me, Clint, I've talked to numerous guys that have reached out and said, hey, Doc, what can I do? What can our foundation do? And I think it's more right now, just kind of wait for some direction from the Dodgers. And we're trying to figure out, again, what's the best way and the biggest way, the biggest reach we can have as an organization to make the biggest impact.
No doubt about it. The Dodgers are always good about those types of things. Dave, let's talk ball a little bit. Man, what an offseason that Andrew Friedman, this front office, and you guys have put together. Every other day, it seems like the Dodgers are getting a big piece of this already amazing puzzle. I haven't had a chance to talk to you first about the Teoscar signing, which I was screaming off the rooftops. Let's get Teoscar back in Dodger blue. We know that he wanted to be there. I know that you wanted him back. What does it mean to have him there at least another 3 years?
It was a big part of the offseason trying to line up with Teo and his representation. You and I talked a lot offline about having players that really want to be there and that are committed in every way to be a Dodger. And Teo is at the top of that list. So to get him back was huge. And, it's always, and I've kind of alluded to this kind of term, shuffling the deck. But I think that this is the first year, I think, and rightfully so, that deck is going to be a lot of the same as it was in the year prior. So Teo is a linchpin to what we're doing. I feel he's a carrier. He's a middle of the bat guy who's neutral. The fans, everywhere I went, guys, this offseason, it was like, please bring Teo back. And you realize how endeared he was to Dodger Nation. And obviously that parade, when we get into the stadium and the fans cheering and chanting his name, was pretty emotional for him and his family. So to get him back, like I said, there's been a lot of things that have kind of happened, but getting him back was a top priority.
Mm-hmm. Listen, that parade was something special for everybody. It took a lot to get there. I will approach this carefully. I'll ask you this, Dave, how stupid is baseball where you could make the same move 3 times and there will be 3 different outcomes, where maybe, let's just throw a name out there, you plug in Alex Vesia to face somebody in a key game against the Padres, and then there's another one where just the baseball, it finds some grass and other times it finds a glove. How frustrating is it? And like, just the joy of, vindicating yourself, vindicating the team, vindicating 2020, all that, getting to this point where you're at now, where you're like, F yeah, I am a 2-time World Series champion manager, and it feels pretty dang good.
Yeah. It's funny, Vesia closed, you used that example, Clint. Alex closed the game out in the CS against the Mets, where he got the fly out right there. And it's one of those things that, he doesn't get the fly out, it's a terrible decision. I think for me, I've kind of really come at peace with the fact that it is a game of results. I do feel that fans chiming in, being passionate, voicing their likes, their dislikes, their vitriol at times, voices. It's still good for the game because people care. But I do believe, though, that you are right. Yes, at times, people could say I use my gut more than I did before, but you look back at my 9 years, if one thing went a different way, it would have been a genius decision, and some of them went well, some of them didn't. And that's baseball. But like you said, I can say, F yeah, I am a two-time managing world champion. You're right.
Love it.
Yes, you can, and been to the World Series 4 different times. Dave, in theory, a 6-man rotation is one thing. In practice, a 6-man rotation is something entirely different. The Dodgers have Blake Snell. The Dodgers are going to have Ohtani. The Dodgers have Glasnow. The Dodgers have Yamamoto. Perhaps we get Roki Sasaki if you want to break any sort of news here. But do you think that is a legitimate thing that the Dodgers will be doing this year is a 6-man rotation? And moreover, do you see May and Gonsolin being in a starting spot, or you see them more in a bullpen spot until they get really, really built up again?
I think it's interesting. I think if you just look at the 6-man rotation, it makes a ton of sense. Certainly with our depth and our pitching staff and depth with that. But then you have to bake in off days, and sometimes in a span of 10 games, 10 days, there might be 2 off days. So that then is 1 extra day to then now 2 or 3 extra days for a particular pitcher. I do think that with who we have, and you mentioned Shohei, who's going to need to go on an extra, Yoshinobu, I do feel that Tyler, with what he's gone through, it would be beneficial. Mm-hmm. Blake Snell is a guy that wants to pitch every 5th day, which he's done and had success, but some days built in wouldn't be a bad thing. I think, to be honest with you, Alanna, I think the crux, what's going to be really telling, is how Gonsolin, Dustin May, come back, guys like that, to kind of make our decision harder, because now if they're knocking at the door and performing, those guys are going to deserve innings. So if we can get those guys in the fold and give other guys an extra rest, I think that would be a benefit. But I think time will tell.
You do add Blake Snell to the mix, and I don't think, if I remember correctly, you weren't at that presser. Just adding somebody the ilk, a 2-time Cy Young Award winner, to the fold there for the Dodgers, a team that just won a World Series, again, 2-time World Series champion manager here. What does that bring to the mix for you, for the starting rotation, some of the younger guys coming into the picture, adding somebody like Blake Snell?
I think it adds a guy that's, won the ultimate pitching award, the Cy Young. He's pitched in the biggest ball games and has performed. From everything I've heard, the work ethic is top notch. So I think that guys can, certainly follow what Clayton, the culture he's created with our pitching staff. And then obviously with Blake, what he's going to bring, the edginess to the staff, the makeup. I think, Clint, the thing that I really love is not only the talent, but it's a guy that hasn't won a championship. So it's hard to quantify hunger, and this guy wants it really bad. That's why he chose to sign with the Dodgers. And bringing in a guy like Blake and Michael Conforto, I just really like guys that haven't ultimately hoisted that championship trophy, because they're going to really continue to push the guys that already have done it even more.
Mm-hmm. I think it's great too that you guys were able to sign Kim into the infield, but with that addition, there's a subtraction of Gavin Lux. So, best of luck to Gavin, of course, with Cincinnati. But how do you see this infield playing out, Dave? Because we knew that if Tommy Edman was back and Miguel Rojas is back, you have CT, maybe Kike. I don't know if he's going to re-sign back. You have Muncy, you have Freddie Freeman, you have Mookie back in that infield too. If you had to pencil in a lineup, everybody that you have right now, that's healthy. How do you see that playing out?
It's a great question. I'm very actually grateful that I don't have to answer that question right now, but I will try. I will try. Because as we've seen, things do happen over the course of a season. But Mookie right now, Alanna, is at shortstop. I think with Tommy, we can look at probably as it looks right now with Conforto in left, Teo in right. Obviously, we got the corners in the infield taken care of. You would see Tommy in center field, and then with Kim mixed in there at second base. And honestly, we saw him in the series earlier when we went to South Korea last year. Haven't seen a whole lot. Looking forward to get to know him more. But in center field, James Outman and Pasillas are still really alive. And Tommy obviously has the ability to play second base too. So there's still some moving parts that we have time to kind of figure out. But I do feel that Mookie in the infield is something that I feel really good about.
Yeah, you got yourself a heck of a ball club lining up there. Also, heck of some ball clubs in the National League West, NL Best, as I like to call it. Giants made some moves, adding Willie Adames. You got the Diamondbacks adding Corbin Burns to that already pretty dang good starting rotation. Dodgers adding, of course, Blake Snell, amongst other pieces. I know it's hard to sit here in January and worry about the competition around the team, but how good is this NL West? And Dino Ebel was on with us shortly after the World Series and talked about how important having these teams challenge the Dodgers late into the season, how important that was for you guys in October. So how good is it for you to see the NL West continue to get better, and just general thoughts about the competition coming for this upcoming season?
You nailed it, Clint. I do think it is the NL Best. I like that one. I got to use that one more. I think with obviously with Buster taking over the reins, you can start to see more of kind of they're trying to get back to who they were when they won those 3 championships. And Willie is a guy that a lot of people coveted. They're going to continue to get better and be a thorn in our side, I'm sure. But the Diamondbacks certainly getting Burns to go along with Gallen. And Merrill Kelly makes him very, very formidable, and PFAT over there. And with their position player group, very athletic. They're only going to get better. And obviously with us and the Padres and with what we did with those guys in the DS last year and how talented they are, I do think that it is the best division in baseball, top to bottom. I'm just happy we don't have to play each team 18 times and sort of beat each other up like we did in the past. But I do think, to Dino's point about playing to the end of the season, through the end of the season, prepared us for playoff baseball right after the regular season. So I don't know if that's the kind of the script to play till game 162, but it was certainly a benefit this year. Yeah,
absolutely.
Dave, I always appreciate you taking the time. And I mean this from the bottom of my heart. This year was the best managerial job you have ever done in the tenure of being in the game. So thank you for taking the time to be with us. Appreciate you. Have a great rest of your off season. You don't have much longer. You guys are going to Glendale in 4 weeks. So enjoy the rest of the time, and we will see you soon.
I will, Alanna and Clint, and I love what you guys do. And at one point, I think it would be fun to dissect some games, and I'll give you guys a behind-the-curtain look at some of the postseason decisions that I made. I think that'd be good for your listeners as well. We'll figure out the timing. I'll put it in your guys' court to figure some timing out, but we'll make that happen too. But thanks, guys, for all your support.
All right, I love that. Maybe we'll do a show from Camelback.
I'm in.
We'll see.
I'm very in. And hold on, wait, Dave. The last time you were here on with us, I said go win us another one. You did it, so I'm going to tell you again. Go win us another one.
Done. It's happening, Clint.
Thank you.
It's happening.
Thank you. We appreciate you. Dodgers Nation appreciates you.
All right, guys.
Let's get to last licks. All right.
Take care. All right, guys. So we all know that I'm a big supporter of dogs that need homes, rescue, and adoption, and those types of things. But right now, there's a big need in the LA area, obviously, for wildfire relief for our community. So Goodry's Guardian Foundation was given a very nice donation from Christina Gatewood. She's a big supporter, huge Dodger fan. You can win a signed CD by the one and only Taylor Swift. It's the Tortured Poets Department CD, signed by Taylor Swift herself. It is authenticated through PSA authentications. You can enter to bid at 32auctions.com/TSCD, which is Taylor Swift CD. All of the proceeds will go to wildfire relief, to organizations in the Los Angeles area that need our help with displaced pets and those types of things. So go to 32auctions.com/TSCD. And Clint, I wanted to let you know the Los Angeles Dodgers have just put out a press release. So I'm going to read it so I don't get anything incorrect. You can see it there on your screen. Mm-hmm. But basically, I'm going to paraphrase here. As the people of Los Angeles and its surrounding communities begin the long recovery from the devastating fires, 12 professional sports organizations, so you can see all of the organizations there, the Angel City, obviously the Angels, Chargers, Clippers, Dodgers, Ducks, Galaxy, Kings, LAFC, Lakers, Rams, and Sparks have pledged a combined donation of more than $8 million to support victims in need, as well as those fighting the fires. You can also see the organizations that are going to be benefited from this generosity: the American Red Cross, Los Angeles Fire Department Foundation, California Fire Foundation, Eaton Canyon Fire Relief and Recovery Fund, World Central Kitchen, California Community Foundation, Wildlife Recovery Fund, Team Rubicon, and various local animal rescue organizations. So thank you very much to the Los Angeles Dodgers and the other 11 professional sports teams in our community for understanding the great need that is there for the citizens of Los Angeles and the greater LA area. That's awesome. It's awesome.
That's incredible. And this is what big time corporations do, by the way, people, because I saw some annoying stuff online like, why haven't the Dodgers done anything about this? It takes time to pool the resources, get the right things in place, so you don't just, we live in this world where you need to be first or you need to say something or else that means you're against what's happening. No, smart people, the people that run the Dodgers, who sorry to blow some people's minds, they are smart people who run the Dodgers even when they lose some games and whatever. It takes time to figure out what the hell a bunch of people are going to do to help a community like this. So you don't want to jump the gun and say the wrong things or do the wrong things. So I applaud the Dodgers and all of those organizations for stepping up to the plate. So many people have helped through this tragedy, and it's been incredible. And again, the need for help is far from over. So everybody keep doing what you can to support. That's what I got to say about it.
Yeah, and you probably, all of us listening and watching right now, know somebody personally that has lost everything. I personally know 5 people that their homes have burned to the ground. So there's a great amount of need out there. There's something that anybody can be doing. It doesn't necessarily have to be monetarily. There's a way to help your fellow citizens. And this is what is so great about LA, people showing up and showing out, coming together as a community. So good on you for the 12 sports clubs, including the Angels, like Angels, all of them. They all came together to do something important for the community.
For the first time ever. I don't have something bad to say about the Angels.
You better not say
special day,
anything bad
Alanna.
about the Angels when it comes to this type of stuff. They're helping too. All professional sports teams in LA. All right. Before we say goodbye to our listeners and our viewers, Clint, what do you got coming up on All Dodgers with Clint Pasillas?
Tonight, we will be live 6 p.m. Pacific time talking more about the Dodgers. We got a whole bunch of Roki to talk about. I do want to talk more about that Flaherty kind of blurb. Just everything, catching up on everything that's going on with the team. We didn't talk about the arbitration deals last week, so we'll talk about all of that. Comments, voicemails will be live. And one last shout out I did want to throw out there before we leave. I want to shout out our friends over at Dodger Blue, particularly Scott Gearman, who has joined us a number of times, and his partner Blake Williams. They did an incredible thing last week on their channel during their live stream. They ran the whole thing as kind of all super chats. The proceeds were benefiting more people in need here in LA. The community showed out during that. They raised, I don't know, it was a lot of money. It was an insane amount of money.
That's awesome.
And they had a great time doing it. It was awesome. So I just want to shout them out for doing a really effing cool thing. There's a reason we work with them. They're good people. And just that's about it. So tube in and we'll see what happens on my channel tonight.
Yeah, I mean, there's like I said, there's something that every single person out there can be doing something for somebody else. And by the way, coming up on Thursday, a brand new live edition of Dodgers Territory. Myself, Clint Pasillas, Eric Steven from True Blue LA, SB Nation is going to be joining us on Thursday. Thank you for watching, everybody. Thanks to Dave Roberts for coming on the show. We appreciate you. Bring a friend, smash and subscribe. We appreciate you guys listening. And we will see you on Thursday. Go Dodgers.
Bye.